Welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie LaChance.
Today, we're diving into some ideas for low investment options to make your home feel very designer or like very intentional.
Absolutely.
So, we kind of wanted to start in the kitchen because this is obviously the heart of so many homes. And how can you make that kitchen feel designer, intentional without going over your target investment?
Mm-hmm. And just little touches you can do too to make your kitchen have a little bit more character or be a little bit more interesting to look at even.
As one of our buyers said yesterday, a little more flavor.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think one of the kind of easier things to do, and you don't have to do it for all of the cabinets, but to raise a cabinet 1, 2, 3, we always say best in design is odd numbers. So 1 or 3 cabinets, raising them 6 inches would be just like spending a little bit to raise one cabinet in the corner, make a little bit of an architectural design look there, or raising the microwave cabinet just slightly, raising the refrigerator cabinet. Those are very low cost options to make the space feel a little bit more interesting and a little bit more designed.
It kind of creates like a staggered look. So instead of having all the cabinets set at the same height, like Katie suggested, maybe just 1, 2, or 3 cabinets would have that little bump. And you still have space up there in that open soffit between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling to do like decor pieces or plants. But just adding that little extra height to select cabinets can really draw the eye and sometimes even make the room feel bigger.
Yeah. And we include crown molding on all of our cabinets. So that taller cabinet gets its very own little piece of crown and really just makes it stand out even more. Another thing in the kitchen, so we just talked about the ceiling type, like looking up. Now we're going to look down. Baseboard detail on the island makes it feel like a built-in piece of furniture rather than just having the cabinet go slab to the ground. Just that small added detail really makes a big impact on the way that the island feels and looks.
Absolutely. Makes it look like more of a built-in piece of furniture, like you said. Also, with that raised cabinet effect, another thing we can look at kind of in tandem with that would be adding some glass front cabinets to select cabinet doors. So, for example, that corner cabinet, or if you're adding like a kitchen extension or a butler's pantry, maybe doing like one set of cabinet doors in that area that are glass front. So that's going to be really beautiful for like any decorative drinkware that you might have. If you have like a home bar area, if you collect beer steins or coffee mugs, it's a great Pyrex.
Yeah.
It's a great place to display your collections.
And one of the cool things is like if you have a more modern style, we can do the clear glass so you wouldn't have any like grids on it. Or if you have a little bit more of a traditional style where you want just a little more detail on the cabinets, we can do mullions, which in like window terms, they're grids, but they're raised. So we call them mullions on the cabinet fronts.
Another detail you can add to the kitchen. So when you're doing hard surface countertop like granite or quartz, we include in that package a 3x6 subway tile backsplash. So just a little kind of designer flair you can add to that subway tile backsplash would be electing the optional herringbone install. So instead of doing the half lay or brick lay where each tile lays 1/2 over the tile above and below it, kind of like your more traditional subway tile pattern, the herringbone is installed at like 45-degree angles. So it just gives you a little bit more flair, detail. It does come at a slight premium, but that's because it requires more labor and more precision to install.
Yep. But again, it's minimal of the additional investment. And it gives you just a slightly different like texture look. because everything else is going to be like mostly horizontal lines in the kitchen with your countertop, with your cabinetry, and then getting an angled line in there in the backsplash just makes it look a little bit different, look a little bit more interesting. And for no cost, you can change the color of the grout and make each tile really pop out. So like I love the look of a white subway tile with a darker grout.
Me too.
Really, each tile then just stands out on its own and it looks really intentional as well. And you don't have to clean grout.
Another no cost or no investment option available to you in the kitchen would be full choice of cabinetry hardware. So all the cabinetry hardware we offer is included, and you can do a combination of knobs on the doors and pulls on the drawers, or you can do pulls on everything. So in my opinion, the bigger the bling, the more designer it feels. So I personally prefer a larger piece of cabinet hardware on everything, doors and drawers, just because it's a little bit more to hold on to as well. So functionality-wise, it serves a greater purpose. But that's a great thing to kind of consider and something fun you get to explore once you're here at the design studio.
And then too, like same on that hardware note, playing with the finishes of the hardware can really add like we always kind of say the cabinetry hardware is the jewelry on the cabinets.
Yeah.
So if you like gold, like just a little hint of gold in the kitchen can be such a beautiful impact on the appliances that are around it. It can draw attention to your faucet or your sink, just like small little details. It can even draw attention to like your different heights of cabinets if you have knobs on the upper cabinets, pulls on your drawers, and then all the different styles that we offer. We have a cup pull, which I think is a really cute like cottage look to, you can kind of like channel cottage with the different types of hardware, channel your transitional style, channel your mid-century modern, just in hardware.
Mm-hmm. Another great thing kind of tying into the cabinetry hardware and the finishes Katie was referring to would be a choice of kitchen faucet. So most of our kitchen faucets are going to be probably in that low investment category. Mm-hmm. So you'd have a variety of both styles and finishes to choose from. So referring to style, you're going to have options that have a little bit more detailing on like the neck and collar, maybe ones that have less detailing, more clean straight lines, like the Genta series would be that more clean straight lined option versus the more ornate detailing option, which would be the Brantford series. And then the kind of in between, like the transitional. So I wouldn't call it ornate. I wouldn't call it clean straight lines, but it's more like clean curved lines. Mm-hmm. That would be the Arbor series. So that one would give you kind of that in-between zone, and lots of choices again there on the metals. So everything from your included chrome to the optional stainless steel, the matte black, and then even the brushed gold and oil rub bronze finishes for those kitchen faucets.
And I think too, like if you have more of an industrial style, we have the sleek style faucet, which has like the spring coil on it. It's like super functional. I have it at my house and I would never get rid of it.
Yeah.
I love the way that it looks, and then just the functionality of being able to quickly just like whoosh.
I'm so glad we have that one installed in our functioning kitchen here at the design studio, because I love using that to wash my dishes.
Every day we use it. Yeah. And it's taller, so it does really make a statement. I love it too if you have your sink in the island, because sometimes then like you don't really see the sink. It kind of just like blends in with the countertop, which is great if you've got like dirty dishes in there. But if you want to draw your eye to that and be like, here's the sink, that big faucet or that colorful faucet like we have in the studio, a brushed gold faucet on the Glen Mary installation here. So great way to add a little bit of detail.
Speaking of the kitchen island, couple details I want to mention there. We can do optional pendant lights above your kitchen island to replace the recessed lights. They're fairly low investment to purchase through us. And I think that is a great way to make your home feel designer, because again, you're adding another layer. So visually, now you're not just looking at cabinets, backsplash, countertop, bottom cabinets. You now have that added layer of something coming down from the ceiling as well. So again, drawing the eye up and making your kitchen feel even larger.
Absolutely. Yeah. The pendant lights and then all of the styles that we offer them in. We have one that has like a wood finish to it. So if you have like all white painted cabinets, we actually just did this in one of our carriage homes. She had all white cabinets, a white countertop, a creamy white backsplash. And then I was like, hey, I think we should add some kind of natural element in here. Let's look at this pendant light that has wood tone on it.
Allure, I think,
Yeah,
is the name of that series.
what is that called?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Allure has some wood elements to it that just really bring in a beautiful natural element. Speaking of, go ahead, Steph.
I was going to say kitchen sink. Yes.
I was going to say little lights.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk more about lights then. We'll come back to the kitchen sink.
So again, with like your different layers of light, like Steph mentioned, having the pendant lights, being able to do different types of lighting with little lights. So we're talking about not overhead lighting in the adjacent rooms to the kitchen, and with the pendant lights or with under cabinetry lighting. Now, under cabinetry lighting is not a small investment, but it is a very meaningful investment. I know Steph and I both have this in our kitchens, and honestly, it's some of the only light that we use. I love it in the evening time to turn it on, and it's just like, it's soft. You can still see everything that you're doing on the countertop because it's so directed. And then you have the pendant lights as another layer that you can leave the big recessed lights off and have those soft pendant lights on.
Yep. I actually exclusively use my under cabinet lights at home. I don't turn on the big light in my kitchen.
Yeah. My husband turns it on. I'm like, turn it off. These lights.
Kind of still in the kitchen, in relation to kitchen faucet and then how we pick your kitchen sink, which, by the way, we have a great episode on how to pick your kitchen sink.
Everything in the kitchen sink.
Go check that out.
Yep, we'll link it in the show notes if you want.
Yes. Go check that out if you're going to be building soon, or even if you're doing a remodeling project. Great to kind of think about, how should I pick my kitchen sink? So when you do granite or quartz countertops, again, bundled into that package would be a choice of undermount stainless steel sinks. You have 3 styles to choose from in that package. So once you do the granite or quartz, that's a great opportunity to get either a single bowl stainless steel sink, a 50-50, or a 60-40. And then one step above that would be our new workstation sink option, which is like just chef's kiss. That one, it's the same size as the single bowl undermount that would normally come with the granite or quartz, except now it comes with added accessories. So it has a wire mat or rack in the bottom of the sink to kind of protect the bottom of your sink from, like, I don't know, maybe staining or denting. You know, if you use your kitchen a lot, it can happen. A straining basket, a cutting board, and a dish drying rack. So pretty nifty. If you are in the kitchen a lot and you want to really like maximize your working space, I think the name in itself tells you that the workstation sink might be a good fit for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not specifically for the kitchen, but just in general, most people add these in the kitchen, but would be dimmer switches throughout.
Yes, that is, again, going to be able to like soften the light and really just like make the house feel more cozy, a little bit more inviting with some more like lower lumen?
Just being able to decrease the intensity or the brightness of those lights is going to be a little bit more comfortable, especially as we're trying to wind down in the evening, right before bed. That's like such an important psychological need for most humans, our circadian rhythm, as they call it, which is kind of like the natural, when all of the non-nocturnal, I don't know the opposite of a nocturnal animals, like us, we're non-nocturnal. We're the opposite of nocturnal. Whenever we start to go to bed, the sun sets and the normal mammals go to bed.
I literally need to look it up.
A couple like interior finishing details that we could touch on too would be the single piece crown mold option. So specifically thinking for like formal dining rooms or for maybe flex rooms, owners' bedrooms and powder rooms, we offer a crown mold option. It's just a way to like dress it up. So the crown mold option A, which is just a single piece, we have a sample of it installed here in the design studio. That's a great option to add a little bit of flair and make those spaces feel more designer. And once, like down the road, once you've lived in the space and you kind of come into your style and you maybe want to do like some painting for those spaces, that crown mold is even going to pop and stand out more.
I was literally just going to be like, okay, we can paint that later on. Like you can do so much more in personality with paint. That's one of the like the easiest things to change. It's labor intensive, but easy to change down the road. While we're kind of talking about like statements in those smaller rooms, I think one of the big impacts in like your dining space or again your kitchen is like that statement lighting. So we include a 5-light chandelier, which makes it pretty low investment to change that to a more decorative style of light, maybe a linear light that's going to kind of lengthen the room or really accentuate that long gathering table that you have in the dining space. Doing those types of things up front while you're just swapping out a light, a little bit easier than down the road.
Yep. And then kind of as you're thinking about potentially adding crown mold, opposite the crown mold, so not where the wall meets the ceiling, but where the wall meets the floor, would be electing higher baseboards or the flat interior baseboard package, which would actually change the style not only of your baseboards, but also of all your door and window casings to be a different shape. So it wouldn't have like that more decorative profile. It would just be a more clean straight line, or also referred to sometimes as sanitary profile. So the raised baseboard package, we strongly recommend that when doing 9-foot ceiling heights. Reason being, your ceilings are now taller, so your baseboards feel more proportional when you add that extra 2 inches.
Even on an 8-foot ceiling, like in our city house, it's a little bit more of like a throwback to older homes where they had a lot of accentuation detail on the trim because it was the craftsmen were showing off their trade in the materials that they were using in the homes. So doing taller baseboards, even in an 8-foot ceiling height, makes them feel more substantial and just be a feature that kind of catches your eye.
And then also kind of pairing where the wall meets the ceiling and then where the wall meets the floor in between there. So again, just for select rooms like formal dining rooms, for example, we could also consider a chair railing option. So that is going to be installed around 36 inches, roughly, give or take.
Depending on the style, yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. And that's really kind of designed to be for those spaces where you might have a chair where you're physically pulling it out. That's hence the name chair railing, meant to protect your drywall from getting dinged up or banged as people are maneuvering furniture in and out of those spaces.
Functional and beautiful.
Exactly. And then again, once you add your accent painting, you can paint just the drywall on either side of that chair railing, or you could make a statement and paint all of the trim in that room an accent color and leave the walls the same.
Really gives you that like opening to do 2 different tones on the upper part of the wall and the lower part of the wall. I know that was what we've done in a couple of our model homes previously.
And for those people that are heavily on Instagram and following Instagram trends, the color drench.
Yes, color drenching.
Where everything is the same color. So you would pick like right now it's like dark, moody colors, but you would still do the trim in like a semi-gloss trim finish and then do the walls in like a more, wall-friendly finish like a flat or a satin or an eggshell.
In the same color, and it actually is crazy. Like it looks like a different color when you change the sheen. So it's all conformed but still has unique detail and makes the trim pop when you do that in a shiny semi-gloss.
Another great thing you can paint in the future to make a statement would be the interior doors. So with us, we don't offer the option to paint them an accent color. So they'll come your EG smooth white in a semi-gloss finish. But you can elect optional door styles from us, and it applies to every single door in your house, with the exception to the front door, because that's a different style door. But it would include, for all single-family homes, also the door between the house and the garage. So we include the 6-panel door style, which if you identify your style as like more colonial or traditional, I'd put that door in that category. If you identify your style as more contemporary or modern or transitional, then potentially the 2-panel square top would be there. For contemporary or modern, I would also put the Logan door style in that category, and then transitional would be your 2-panel round top. 2-panel round top would be your transitional door style.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's surprisingly low investment upfront through us, and then significantly more to do it down the road. So certainly consider doing that through us. Then you don't have to worry about taking doors off.
Hanging doors is hard, folks.
It is. Yeah. And then along those same lines of interior doors, we have your interior door knobs. Again, this is a whole home package, so it actually does apply to the front door as well. We really like the lever handles because they're functional. They add a little bit more of length and detailing to the door, but then also different styles. So you have the accent lever if you have a little bit more of a transitional or traditional style with a little bit of a curve, and then the latitude style when you have a little bit more of a contemporary inspiration or style. That's going to just give you a little bit of a cleaner, straighter line and add functional beauty to the home. We love functional beauty.
We do, yes. Speaking of functional beauty, there's 2 things we had written down for this episode, Katie, that are mainly functional, that I think if you're a designer like Katie and I, and you visit someone's home, you might notice this. However, if you're not in the industry and you don't think about it that often, I don't think they're items that you would notice on the daily basis. Well, I take that back. As guests in someone's house, you wouldn't notice. If you live in this your house, you will notice these.
Raised vanity heights, and then my favorite one. We'll come back to the raised vanity heights, but the raised toilets. It's when you have it in your house, it's so comfortable. And then if you go to your friend's house and they have lower toilets, catch yourself because you're probably gonna fall in. It literally feels like, whoa.
Like when you go to a friend's house and they do have a raised toilet, you're like, oh, they know about raised toilets. Yeah. Either somebody helped them make this decision or they're just good at picking out what goes in their house.
They bought it from Costco and that's the only toilet they sell. And then the raised vanity heights. This is like if you are taller or if you just like to be having things at countertop height, raising the vanity in the owner's bathroom, I would strongly suggest doing that. And then adding it in the powder bathroom would just be like a little designer detail because it does just make it look a little bit, you get a little taller cabinet doors. Everything's just a little bit taller. So it makes it feel a little bit more intentional and functional.
Ooh, as you head to your second floor. So depending on the home plan, some of our home plans, you enter in the front door and the staircase kind of greets you there, kind of right in front of you. Some of our home plans, the staircase is turned toward the back of the house or even like the side of the house, like the Glen Mary, for example. So one option you can do to kind of make a statement for that staircase would be to change the newel post and the railing package. So for that little railing section that comes included, it's a pretty low investment to elect the Craftsman newel post with the painted balusters or to do one of our metal baluster packages. Those black balusters are highly requested here at the design studio. Just adds like a nice contrast because a lot of the walls and trim in your house are going to be white. So having that kind of black baluster package really pops against that. So that's just a nice detail you can consider once you get here. And then again, depending on the home plan, to swap that half wall out on the second floor, it can kind of creep up into the higher investment category, I would say, depending on like how much railing you have, especially once you go to like some of our 2-story family room plans.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful though.
Right. Yeah.
If you're buying one of those plans with the 2-story family room, we are gonna figure out a way
save a little bit for that. Yeah.
to show you how to get that railing option.
Absolutely, because it's just gonna really elevate the look. And I think too, with Steph mentioning like those black balusters, it's a really nice little callback to like some other black detail in the house. Like maybe you got the black hardware in the kitchen, but you didn't want to do the black faucet or the black faucets in the bathrooms, but just that little detail that you can call back to and be like a repeating design throughout the house makes it feel very uniform and good flow.
Yeah, I just also want to emphasize what you just said, Katie, repeating design. So I heard someone use this term once and it stuck with me, and it's carnival house, right? So we don't want it to be like we go into one room and what's in this tent? Oh, wow, this is the clown tent. And then we go into another room and oh, wow, this is the elephant tent. And each tent has its own theme and it feels like completely different. We want rooms of our house, and when we design houses for our home buyers, we want them to feel cohesive and feel like we all met at the same design studio and kind of picked everything out together. So whether that means carrying over the same cabinets for all the bathrooms, carrying over the same cabinetry hardware for all the bathrooms, maybe similar flooring for all of those wet spaces, bathrooms, laundry rooms, etc. We do try to encourage that in design.
Yeah, staying on like a certain design path. Now you can stray a little bit and come back, but you don't want to have one room that feels very coastal and then the next room that feels desert. And it's like, you got to be in the same place. And I think too, kind of recalling back to the home's setting can be a good kind of grounding for your design, and then focusing on, you don't have to be pigeonholed into the style, but if you're transitional, pairing little transitional details in the bathroom spaces can make the home feel very just cohesive, uniform, intentional.
If that is your goal, though, is to have a carnival house and to have each room excite you in different ways, you can always share that with us. We just aren't going to necessarily guide you on that path.
Right. That's not going to be what we're suggesting to you, but we will certainly, if that's your preference, lean into that.
Absolutely. We design for you guys, not for us.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. You are the client. It is your home. We are not going to be living in it.
Yeah. You're not going to offend us if you don't like our suggestions either. That's honestly part of the fun, is like coming up with new ideas. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
You won't offend us if you say it nicely. If you say it mean, then it might hurt our feelings a little.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today on this Wednesday. We hope that we brought you some value and kind of talking through some suggested low investment options to make your home feel more designer.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.